This is Tom, your host for the Hidden Truths channel, and welcome to my Sunday Night Live broadcast, no matter when you may be watching it. Anyway, we're going to talk about what I think tonight, about what I think is a new human species that is evolving or devolving, however you want to put it. And we're going to talk about the weird weather we've been having. So, anyway, I got to wait about 2.5 minutes for people to start filtering in for notifications to get out. So if you want to skip ahead till then, 2.5 minutes, talk about the first subject. Yeah, the new species, and go in there in about 10, 12 minutes, and we'll start talking about the other subject. So, anyway, but, the weird weather we've been having. But anyway, the channel finally reached 100 subscribers, so thank you to all my subscribers. I appreciate it. The channel's growing, no matter how much it's being pushed against by this platform. But whatever, like that short I made. If you silence somebody, you're just limiting your knowledge. That's one thing. In the military, you want your enemy to speak as much as possible so you can get as much information from as you can. So, I guess some of us are looked at as the enemy of the situation. So, anyway, it's just crazy on the censorship of this channel. But it's growing. This platform, but my channel's growing. So I appreciate all the help everybody's giving me to help me get the word out. Because when we start talking about our first subject, the new species, and, let's just say I see some transformation of the human race that's going on. And if nobody else can pick it up, I don't know what to say, but let's just say if you lived as long as I have, you can definitely see the difference in human behavior from when I was 40, 50, even 30, even 20 years ago. But anyway, the channel made 200 subscribers. Thank you to all my new subscribers. If you like the content of this channel, like, subscribe. Hey, how's it going? I'm glad you're here tonight. Like and subscribe and share the videos. Get the word out. But let's talk about the first thing. Why I believe there's a new human species that's being evolved. Okay? Anybody watch TikTok? Now, I don't live in a big city, but I can only imagine what you see in the big city. Okay, Meerman? Me? No, but you see these TikTok videos of people that are trying to transform their bodies into something that's not even real, fairies and stuff. And let's just say that people aren't normal. People aren't acting normal. It's just like this whole, and it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter what race you are, what gender you are. It's infiltrating all human beings. But you look on TikTok and some of these videos, oh my God, this lady's making $7,000 a day on that stuff. It worries me, and I feel there's a transformation. The humans are splitting into two different species. Now, I don't want to say conservative and liberal, because that doesn't make any sense. It's not based on political. But maybe this is what happens when mental illness is allowed to go to the point that it has now, where men actually think they can get babies. Or maybe it's because of 100 subscribers. Yeah, I finally made 200 subscribers. But maybe it's because all the stuff that you're trying to say that's going to save our life. I don't know. But there's a transformation of the human being that's going on. 101. Well, thank you very much for subscribing. I appreciate it. You see, I'm just trying to get the word out. And like what I see, all I know is I'm watching these TikTok videos, right? And I'm like, how can these people not be being treated for mental illness? And then what's worse, the person that's putting the content down or the people that are supporting it? I can't even fathom what it's like to live in a big city and to have to see this on the street. If I were to see something like that where I live, well, it wouldn't be accepted. They'd be shoved out of town, shunned, whatever. But there's some extremely weird behavior going on out there. Weird thought patterns that ain't typical human, the way normal human beings act or think. It's like they're coming up with this whole new thought process on how human beings are supposed to act, even to the point of changing our language. You know, it's almost sounding like we're grunting animals. Anyway, I don't understand it. How people can't see this. I mean, okay, this is one thing everybody needs to realize. Eventually, these people that we're seeing in these videos are going to be in charge of the nuclear weapons. You realize that, right? Where their mental illness is going to progress even further. I mean, isn't that a scary thought to anybody? But what is happening to the human race if I were to see one of these people on the street, besides them making me feel very uncomfortable, and, you know, I'd be watching my six all the time, it's just like, I don't belong to the same species as that. That's not the same type of human being I am. Anyway, these TikTok videos, whoo! You know, they want to censor me because they want to say I don't fit in, or I cause people to click off YouTube or whatever. And I'm just trying to spread my opinion, you know, about the country and where it's going and how we can sit there and maybe change stuff up so we don't have to sit there and look forward to destruction. You know, trying to do my little part. But I'm weird. I need to be shut up. But these people, $7,000 a day. Well, I hope she's going to need that money for when she gets older. Okay? But, you know, if you have to live in a big city and you got to see this all the time, where these people are just acting, they need to be in an insane asylum. I mean, and a lot of them are homeless. I don't know. The ones I've been watching ain't homeless. They're just, they're over privileged, under-disciplined, can't manage their emotions. Rich kids is what they are. That's what it seems to be like. And I don't know if their parents are endorsing it, but to get medical procedures where you look like a elf or pointed ears and the whole works, okay, you're deviating from the Homo sapien species, okay? You're deviating from that. And it's like they're devolving. You know, that obviously they're not going to last because, you know, why didn't Neanderthal made it? Because Homo sapien was superior to him. And it just comes down to Homo sapiens. If we are having a split in the human gene pool, and there's going to be two species, that one will die out too because it doesn't know how to take care of itself. Anyway, it's crazy to think about, but, you know, I just look at these videos and I'd be like, they're not human. Something went wrong. Like I say, whether it be, you know, all these that they're given, whether it be mental illness run amok, whether it be parents not disciplining their children, I don't know. But, you know, human beings are going astray. They're not acting normal, okay? If another animal in the animal kingdom started acting weird, all humans would see it, okay, especially the ones watching it. While I'm watching human beings, I'm seeing some weird behavior. And I'm seeing stuff that, like I say, it's ever causing it, something's causing it. People are changing. So anyway, that's enough on that subject. Now let's talk about the weird weather we're having. You know, this has been going on for well over a year. All this wind and storms coming from the east, the southeast, the northeast, or it's just straight south. Nothing coming from the northwest or west anymore. It's crazy. I don't know if like the poles are switching or what, but this storm that came through tonight came up from the southeast. You know, that's normally what direction thunderstorms come from, right? They hit you from the southeast. Excuse me, that was rude. I don't know what's going on with this weather, but you know, I've been watching the patterns. And over the last few years, you know, like that hurricane that devastated the eastern part of North Carolina, South Carolina, and Tennessee, it's freak stuff. You know, what we're dealing with now in this. I mean, we've had wind. Like I say, it seems to be always out of the southerly direction, okay? Not out of the north or the west anymore. For the last 2 months. I mean, I haven't even been able to do a live stream at night out in my grove with the fire because of the nonstop wind and the dry conditions. Well, we got rain, but it's still hot. The winds are crazy. You know, this really weird weather. And that's just in our little part of the world, you know. I'm sure, you know, I had to sit there and build a fire. I got a wood burning stove. I had to build a fire today in my stove. It's May 18th. Now, sometimes we do, it's that probably not, that's never happened, but it's been weird, okay? We didn't get the spring rain. Now we finally got a good rain. But we, you know, usually here I'm mowing my grass by the end of March, and by the end of May, you know, I really don't have to mow it anymore unless I'm watering the heck out of it because it's so dry. You know, I'm finally going to mow my lawn for the first time tomorrow, and it's the end of May. So anyway, strange. And then we really didn't have a winter. But anyway, I guess we'll all see what's going to come, you know. Hopefully we don't have a smoke field season again, but it's probably going to be that way. Smoke from the west coast all the way to the Mississippi. So I just been noticing for like a year. I've been mentioning it to people. Things just don't seem right. You know, and that's the thing about Mother Nature. It's not going to be day and then here's the next day. It's not the movies, okay? Her time spans are a lot longer, and she takes her sweet time. But whatever. Maybe she's just had enough of us, and it's time for us to go. But you know, the weather patterns that shift. There's lots of things that could go to hell. Okay, there's lots of hidden truths Mother Nature has, and when we think we can control her, she's gonna jap slap us. So, anyway, you know, maybe the poles are shifted. I don't know what's going on. You know, all weather is created by solar heating. I don't know what's going on, but I know it's really getting weird out there in some areas. Like I say here, I'm just not used to a southwest, southeast storms coming in from the southeast and the east. All the winter storms we got this year, none of them came from the northwest, which little ones we got, they all came from the east. Like I say, why? I mean, just strange. And like this last storm that just hit us today, this thunderstorm came from the southeast. I mean, storms all moving from the southeast or the east. That's just weird. So, you know, at least I'm not living in the area where we're dealing with, I am in Tornado Alley, but it seems like Tornado Alley's kind of shifted now too, hasn't it? Anyway, strangest we'll never know. And if they're trying to modify or mess with the weather, you always can sit there and try to do your yin, but you don't know what your yang's going to be. And I hate suffering the yang because these so-called yang geniuses want to create something. When you deal with Mother Nature, for every action there's an equal or opposite reaction. You know why that is in nature? Because nature has to stay balanced. So if you're going to push it one way, it's going to push back a different way. Okay? I think that's what we're dealing with if they're dealing with weather modification. The earth is alive just like anything else, and she'll heal herself. She's gotten rid of civilizations before we've existed. That's not true. Yeah, it is. Okay? This earth has been around for 4.5 billion years. That's 4,500 million year periods. And you're telling me that we're the first, I'd even say intelligent life on here that got out of hand and Mother Nature had to take care of? Well, then where'd the story of Atlantis come from? But anyway, that's all I got for this evening. But I made it to 100 subscribers. I just don't understand why, if they are so the other side, and I want to say the other side because they want to silence us. They don't, if you what you stand on is so right and righteous, and that's the facts, then it doesn't matter what somebody else has to say, because an intellectually thinking person is going to follow you then. But if you're full of garbage, and the only way you can sit there and get people to listen to you is by shutting up the facts or the opposing opinion, because it may make more logical sense, well, that's doesn't make human beings become more advanced or better people. Constructive criticism, never hurt me none, especially when it was coming from a person that honestly cared about my future. Okay? I don't want anybody hurt in this world. All these people that are trying to silence all the conservative channels, and I see it. All these channels that I used to watch 6 years ago that used to have thousands of people on their live stream are lucky to get a couple hundred now. Or their channels got canceled and they had to restart. Kind of like I did. That's one thing YouTube on my analytics right now, you better get the numbers straight because numbers aren't jiving. I got one, you can look at it, you need to get them a little closer. When you start subtracting my views from me, you need to subtract it from everything and not just one thing so the count is even. Because right now, the IRS would have a field day with the bottom line not matching. Okay, so, but don't worry. I'm just a little guy, but I scare the hell out of them. My channel was doing some weird shit tonight. I put that one video of Beauty kicking it up before the storm hit, and that was, I don't know if that was a kicker, but they didn't respond. All of a sudden my channel started doing weird stuff. So I know my analytics ain't right. I know they're not right. Okay. But whatever. Doesn't stop the truth from getting out there because my channel is growing. I appreciate it. So, well, I guess YouTube has cut me off again. Woo! I'm a persistent son of a bitch. I just don't give up. I guess the fighting humans is easy. That computer algorithm, boy, that one takes a little bit to get around, but sooner or later, the computer algorithm and I will come to terms. So anyway, we're at about the 20-minute mark, so I like to go. But I appreciate everybody being here. And like I say, check out my shorts. My shorts will sit there and get people thinking, you might say. Bring out their emotions sometimes. Anyway, everybody have a great night. This is Tom. I'm out.